The crash cart slammed through the emergency department doors at 2:34 a.m., and Dr. Kendra Ross knew immediately that her quiet night shift was over. The woman on the gurney was seizing, her body rigid, foam at the corners of her mouth. Behind her, 3 men in suits moved like a storm, expensive, dark, and dangerous. The tallest one grabbed Kendra's arm as she reached for the patient. His grip was iron, his eyes wild with panic barely contained beneath a veneer of control. "Save her. Whatever it takes. Save my mother." Kendra yanked her arm free, her exhaustion replaced by pure adrenaline. "Then let me work. Everyone out except medical staff. I'm not leaving. You are if you want her to live." Kendra's voice cut through his authority like a scalpel. Their eyes locked for half a second, his dark and desperate, hers unflinching, before she turned to her patient. "Suspected stroke. Possible seizure activity. Get me a CT scan stat and push 2 milligrams of Ativan." The man stepped back, but she could feel his presence like heat at her back. She had no time to think about him, about the way the nurses had gone pale when he entered, about the security guard who'd made himself scarce. Mrs. Park Youngjaw was coding, and Kendra had minutes to save her brain from permanent damage. "BP dropping, 90/60. Start dopamine, get neurology down here now." Kendra's hands moved with practiced precision, checking pupils, testing reflexes. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me." Nothing. The woman's right side was completely flaccid. "Massive left hemisphere stroke," Kendra announced to her team. "We're in the window. Prep for TPA." "Dr. Ross, that's a huge risk if there's any bleeding, and she'll be paralyzed or dead if we don't act now." "Do it." Behind her, the man made a sound, half growl, half prayer. Kendra blocked him out. This was her world, her rules. In this room, she was God, and death was the enemy she refused to let win. 20 minutes later, Mrs. Park was stable enough for imaging. The CT confirmed what Kendra suspected: ischemic stroke, caught early enough to reverse with treatment. As they wheeled the patient toward the scanner, Kendra finally allowed herself to look at the son who'd been haunting her peripheral vision. He was younger than she'd first thought. Mid-30s maybe, with the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers. Sharp jaw, intense eyes, perfectly styled black hair despite the hour. A tattoo crept up the left side of his neck, Korean characters disappearing beneath his collar. His suit probably cost more than her monthly rent. "Your mother is stable," Kendra said, stripping off her gloves. "The next few hours are critical, but if there's no bleeding on the scan, her prognosis is good." The man's shoulders dropped half an inch. Relief, raw and unfiltered, crossed his face before the mask slammed back down. "Thank you, Dr. Ross. Kendra Ross." She grabbed her tablet, already moving toward the next patient. "The neurologist will update you after imaging." "Wait." His hand shot out, not touching her but close enough that she felt the air shift. "I need to know everything. What's the timeline? What are the risks? Will she recover fully?" Kendra turned back, ready to deliver her standard speech about patience and realistic expectations, but something in his expression stopped her. Beneath the designer's suit and the dangerous energy and the men waiting in the hall like trained dogs, she saw what she always saw in this room: a terrified son who couldn't lose his mother. "Come with me," she said, leading him to a quiet corner. "Sit down before you fall down." He blinked, surprised, but obeyed. Up close, she noticed the shadows under his eyes, the way his hands trembled slightly before he clasped them together. "Your mother had an ischemic stroke," Kendra explained, her voice gentler now. "That means a blood clot blocked an artery in her brain. We caught it early, within the golden hour, so we administered TPA, a clot-busting medication. If the scan shows no bleeding, there's a good chance she'll recover most or all of her function with rehabilitation." And if there is bleeding, then we stop the TPA and deal with it. But I don't think there will be. Kendra met his eyes directly. Your mother is strong. Her vitals are stable. You got her here in time. That matters. Something shifted in his expression, softening the harsh lines. You're very confident. I'm very good at my job. Kendra stood, suddenly aware of how close they were, how intently he was looking at her. What's your name? Park Ji-hoon. Well, Mr. Park, your mother is going to be fine. Try to breathe. The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile, but close. You're bossy, Dr. Ross. Part of the job description. She turned to leave, then paused. And Mr. Park? Next time, don't grab a doctor's arm. We need those to save lives. This time he did smile, and it transformed his entire face. Noted. Kendra walked away, trying to ignore the way her pulse had quickened. She'd seen plenty of attractive men in the ER. This was nothing. Just adrenaline, exhaustion, the usual chaos of a night shift. The fact that Park Ji-hoon had the most intense eyes she'd ever seen meant absolutely nothing. Her best friend Tasha found her at the nurse's station 20 minutes later. Girl, do you know who that is? Kendra didn't look up from her charts. Patient's son, why? That's Park Ji-hoon, as in the Park family, as in the Korean organization that runs half of LA's underground. Tasha's eyes were wide. Kendra, that man is dangerous. Kendra's pen stilled. She thought about the men in suits, the way security had vanished, the tattoo, the barely contained violence in his grip. Well, his mother just had a stroke, so right now he's just a scared son. End of story. Just be careful. Men like that are not my concern unless they're my patients. Kendra closed the chart with more force than necessary. I'm going to check on Mrs. Park. But as she walked toward imaging, she couldn't shake the memory of Ji-hoon's eyes, desperate, grateful, and focused on her with an intensity that felt like being seen under a microscope. Tasha was right to warn her. Men like Park Ji-hoon were dangerous. The question was whether the danger made her want to run toward him or away. Mrs. Park's scan came back clean. No bleeding, minimal permanent damage if they continued aggressive treatment. Kendra delivered the news to Ji-hoon personally, watching relief break across his face like dawn. Can I see her? She's sedated, but yes, follow me. She led him to the ICU, acutely aware of his presence behind her. He moved quietly for such a tall man, graceful in a way that suggested training she didn't want to think about. In the room, Ji-hoon transformed. He pulled a chair close to his mother's bed, took her hand with a gentleness that contradicted everything Tasha had implied, and spoke to her in Korean. Low, soothing words that needed no translation. Kendra checked the monitors, adjusting the IV drip. She can probably hear you. Keep talking to her. What should I say? Whatever you'd want to hear if you were scared and confused. Kendra made notes on the chart. Tell her she's safe. Tell her you love her. Tell her about your day. Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment, then began speaking again in Korean. His voice was different now. Younger. More vulnerable. Whatever he was saying, it came from somewhere deep. Kendra moved toward the door, giving them privacy, but his voice stopped her. Dr. Ross. She turned. Thank you. Two simple words, but loaded with an emotion that made her chest tighten. You didn't just save her life. You gave me hope. That's rare in my world. Kendra wanted to ask what world that was, exactly. She wanted to ask why Tasha had looked terrified when she said his name. She wanted to ask about the tattoo, the men. The way he carried himself like violence was a language he spoke fluently. Instead, she said, You're welcome. Get some rest. The next few days will be difficult. She left before he could respond, before she could do something stupid like offer comfort to a man who definitely didn't need it from her. Her shift ended at 7 a.m., But Kendra stayed to monitor Mrs. Park's progress. Professional diligence, she told herself. Nothing to do with the son who hadn't left his mother's bedside. At 8:30, her phone buzzed. A text from her younger sister Imani. Can't wait for rounds today. First day on surgical rotation. Wish me luck. Kendra smiled, typing back encouragement. Imani was in her second year of medical school at UCLA, brilliant and ambitious, following in Kendra's footsteps. Their mother would have been proud. Would have been. Past tense. Because their mother had died 3 years ago from a stroke just like Mrs. Park's, except they'd been in rural Georgia with the nearest hospital 40 minutes away, and by the time they'd arrived, it was too late. Kendra closed her eyes, pushing back the memory. She'd become a doctor because of that day. Because she'd been helpless, watching her mother die while doctors had spoken in careful tones about timelines and tissue death. And if only you'd gotten here sooner, she'd sworn she'd never let anyone feel that helpless again. Dr. Ross? She looked up to find Ji-hoon standing in front of her, holding 2 cups of coffee. You've been here for 19 hours. Thought you might need this. Kendra accepted the cup automatically. How did you? I noticed things. He sat beside her, close enough that she caught his scent. Expensive cologne and something else. Something that made her want to lean closer. And I asked the nurses when your shift started. That's borderline stalking, Mr. Park. It's gratitude, Dr. Ross. His eyes crinkled at the corners. There's a difference. Is there? Kendra sipped the coffee. It was perfect. Cream, no sugar, exactly how she liked it. How did you know how I take my coffee? I told you, I notice things. He turned the cup in his hands. You've checked on my mother 6 times since your shift ended. You adjusted her blanket. You spoke to her even though she's sedated. You care about your patients beyond clinical necessity. That's just being a good doctor. No, that's being a good person. Ji-hoon's voice dropped. Trust me, I know the difference. There was something in his tone. Darkness, regret, a hint of self-loathing. Kendra recognized it. She'd heard it before in patients who'd done things they couldn't undo, made choices that haunted them. Your mother will recover, she said softly. You'll have more time with her. Because of you. Because she got lucky. Because you got her here fast. Because I was the doctor on duty. Kendra met his eyes. Don't make it more than it is. What if I want to? The question hung between them, loaded with implications. Kendra absolutely could not explore. This man was dangerous. Tasha had warned her. The nurses whispered when he walked by. The way his men waited in the hall like soldiers suggested a life Kendra wanted no part of. And yet, when he looked at her like she was the only person in the world, like she'd performed a miracle instead of standard emergency medicine, something in her chest tightened with want. Mr. Park. Ji-hoon, please. Ji-hoon. His name felt strange on her tongue, intimate. I'm your mother's doctor. That's all I can be. For now. He stood, setting down his untouched coffee. But eventually, she'll be discharged. And then you won't be her doctor anymore. He walked away before Kendra could formulate a response, leaving her with rapidly cooling coffee and a pulse that had no business racing. 3 days later, Mrs. Park woke up. Her speech was slurred, her right side weak, but she was alert, responsive, and asking for her son in Korean. Kendra was adjusting her medication when Ji-hoon arrived, bringing with him an arrangement of flowers so massive it barely fit through the door. Iama, he breathed, moving to her side. Mrs. Park's eyes filled with tears. She spoke rapidly in Korean, her good hand reaching for his face. Ji-hoon responded in the same language, his own eyes wet. Kendra stepped back, giving them privacy, but Mrs. Park's gaze found her. Doctor, she said in heavily accented English. Thank you. My son. He tell me. You saved my life. You're very welcome, Mrs. Park. You're doing wonderfully. Kendra checked her vitals, pleased with the progress. Your recovery is ahead of schedule. Mrs. Park said something to Ji-hoon in Korean. He shook his head, responding sharply. His mother insisted, her tone brooking no argument despite her weakness. Ji-hoon sighed. My mother wants to know if you're single. Kendra's hand slipped on the BP cuff. I'm sorry, what? She's very direct. Ji-hoon looked embarrassed, actually embarrassed, which was oddly endearing on a man who commanded rooms with a glance. You don't have to answer. But Mrs. Park was looking at her with such hope, such determination, that Kendra found herself answering. Yes, I'm single. Mrs. Park beamed, speaking rapidly to Ji-hoon, who held up a hand. Yama, please, Dr. Ross is working. Your mother is very sweet, Kendra said diplomatically. But she should focus on recovery, not matchmaking. You don't know my mother. Ji-hoon's expression was fond. Once she sets her mind to something, there's no stopping her. It's where I get my stubbornness. I hadn't noticed, Kendra said dryly. He laughed. A real laugh, warm and unguarded. It changed his whole face, made him look younger, less dangerous, more human. Kendra realized she was staring and quickly turned back to the monitors. I'll check in later. Rest, Mrs. Park. No scheming. As she left, she heard Mrs. Park say something in Korean. Ji-hoon's response was quiet, but she caught one word. Aramdon. Later, she'd look it up. Beautiful. If you're enjoying this story, drop a comment and let me know. I love hearing from you. The next week blurred into a routine. Kendra monitored Mrs. Park's recovery, which was progressing beautifully. Physical therapy was helping with her mobility. Speech therapy was improving her articulation. By day 7, she was walking short distances with assistance and had regained most of her speech. And every day, Ji-hoon was there. He arrived early, left late, brought his mother's favorite foods, spoke to her in Korean, and watched Kendra with an intensity that made her skin prickle. On day 8, he cornered her in the hallway. Have dinner with me? Kendra didn't pretend to misunderstand. No. Why not? Because you're my patient's son. Because you're... She gestured vaguely at him, at the expensive suit, at the aura of danger that clung to him. You. I'm me. Ji-hoon stepped closer. And you're you. 2 people who might enjoy a meal. Together. I don't think that's all you want. You're right. His honesty caught her off guard. I want to know why you became a doctor. I want to know what makes you smile when you think no one's watching. I want to know why you take your coffee with cream but no sugar, why you're always 5 minutes early to rounds, why you touch your patients like they're precious even when they're unconscious. Kendra's breath caught. You're very observant. Only about things that matter. He didn't touch her, but she felt the weight of his attention like a physical thing. Have dinner with me, Kendra, just once. If you hate it, I'll never ask again. She should say no. Every rational part of her brain screamed no. But there was something in his eyes. Vulnerability hidden beneath confidence, loneliness wrapped in power, that called to the part of her that fixed broken things. One dinner, she heard herself say, somewhere public, and if your mother asks, we're discussing her discharge. Plan. Ji-hoon's smile could have powered the entire hospital. Tomorrow night, I'll pick you up at 7. I'll meet you there. Deal. He walked away, and Kendra leaned against the wall, wondering what the hell she'd just agreed to. Tasha was going to kill her. Tasha did, in fact, try to kill her. Are you insane? Kendra, this man is dangerous. It's just dinner. There's no such thing as just dinner with men like that. Tasha grabbed her shoulders. Promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you'll keep your phone on. Promise me. I promise. Kendra hugged her friend. I can handle myself. That's what I'm afraid of. You're too brave for your own good. Maybe, but Kendra had spent 3 years playing it safe after her mother's death, working herself to exhaustion, dating bland men who'd never made her pulse race, building walls around her heart. Maybe it was time to be a little reckless. The restaurant Ji-hoon chose was a small Korean place in Koreatown, intimate and authentic, far from the flashy spots she'd expected. He was waiting outside, dressed more casually than she'd ever seen him. Dark jeans, a black button-down with the sleeves rolled up, revealing more of that tattoo that snaked down his arm. "You came," he said, and she heard the relief in his voice. "I said I would." Kendra had agonized over what to wear, finally settling on a simple black dress and her natural hair down in loose curls. From Ji-hoon's expression, she'd chosen well. "You look beautiful. You clean up okay yourself." She followed him inside, where the owner greeted Ji-hoon like family, seating them at a private table in the back. "This place has the best bulgogi in LA," Ji-hoon explained, ordering for them both in fluid Korean. "Do you trust me?" Loaded question. "With dinner?" "Sure. With anything else?" "Jury's still out." He laughed. "Fair enough." The food came in waves. Banchan, soup, perfectly grilled meat, kimchi that made her eyes water. Ji-hoon taught her how to wrap the meat in lettuce, how to pair each dish, watching her reactions with obvious pleasure. "This is amazing," Kendra admitted, savoring a bite. "How did you find this place?" "My father brought me here when I first moved to LA. I was 16, angry, didn't want to leave Seoul." Ji-hoon's expression grew distant. "He said that no matter where we went, food would connect us to home." Sounds like he was wise. He was. Ji-hoon took a drink. He was also complicated. Like his son. There it was. The opening she'd been waiting for. "Ji-hoon, what do you do? And please don't say import-export or business consulting." He set down his chopsticks, meeting her eyes directly. "What did your friend tell you about me?" "That you're dangerous, that you run an organization, that I should stay far away from you." She's not wrong. Ji-hoon didn't look away, didn't soften the truth. "My father built an empire in Korea, then expanded here. When he died 5 years ago, I inherited everything: the business, the territory, the responsibilities, the enemies." "What kind of business?" "The kind that operates in shadows. Protection, territory management, certain imports that bypass conventional channels." He paused. "I won't lie to you, Kendra. My world is violent. I've done things I'm not proud of. I've hurt people who probably deserved it and some who didn't. I'm not a good man." Kendra's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "Then why am I here?" "Because when you looked at me in that ER, you didn't see a monster. You saw a son who was terrified of losing his mother. You treated me like I was human." Ji-hoon's voice roughened. "Do you know how rare that is? In my world, people either fear me or want something from me. But you just wanted to save my mother. You didn't care who I was." "I care now," Kendra said quietly. "Ji-hoon, I don't do complicated. I don't do dangerous. My life is medicine, my sister, trying to pay off debt while making a difference. I'm not asking you to join my world." He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. "I'm asking if you'll let me exist in yours, just for a while. Let me take you to dinner. Let me learn what makes you smile. Let me be someone other than what I am when I'm with you." It was the most honest thing anyone had ever said to her. And the saddest. "What happens when your world and mine collide?" "They won't. I'll keep you separate. Keep you safe." His eyes burned with intensity. "I promise you, Kendra, nothing from my life will touch yours." It was a promise he'd break within 48 hours. The next morning, Kendra was reviewing discharge orders for Mrs. Park when her phone rang. Imani's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, baby sister. How's rotation going?" Kendra. Imani's voice was strange, high, tight, scared. Something happened. Kendra's blood went cold. What? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine, but Imani took a shaky breath. I saw something I shouldn't have. In the parking garage. These men, there was a fight. And one of them, Kendra, there was so much blood. Where are you right now? Still at the hospital. Cedars. I'm hiding in the resident lounge. But Kendra, one of them saw me. He looked right at me before they left. Kendra was already moving, grabbing her keys. Stay there. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'm 10 minutes away. She made it in 7, her mind racing. Cedars-Sinai was a huge hospital. The chances that Imani's incident had anything to do with Ji-hoon were slim. It was just a coincidence. Except Kendra didn't believe in coincidences anymore. She found Imani in the resident lounge, pale and shaking. Kendra pulled her into a hug, feeling her sister's heart racing. Tell me everything. I was leaving late, around midnight. The parking garage was empty. I heard voices, angry voices, so I ducked behind a car. Imani's words tumbled out fast. There were 4 men. 2 of them were beating someone up, really badly. The other 2 were just watching. And then, she swallowed hard. One of them pulled out a gun. Did they shoot? No, but they threatened to. They were speaking Korean, I think, but one of them switched to English and said something about Park needs to remember his place, and next time it'll be his mother. The floor dropped out from under Kendra's world. Park. Ji-hoon's rivals had been at her hospital, delivering a threat, and her sister had witnessed it. Did you call the police? I was too scared. And Kendra, the guy who saw me, he smiled, like he knew exactly who I was. Imani grabbed her arm. How would he know who I am? Because someone had been watching. Because Ji-hoon's promise to keep their worlds separate had been naive at best, delusional at worst. Because men like him didn't get to have normal things without consequence. Pack your things, Kendra said, her voice harder than she intended. You're staying with me until we figure this out. Figure what out? Kendra, what's going on? Kendra couldn't answer, because she was too busy texting Ji-hoon. We need to talk. Now. He called immediately. Kendra, what's wrong? My sister witnessed something in the parking garage last night. 4 men, a beating, threats about you and your mother. One of them saw her. Kendra kept her voice low. You promised my world and yours wouldn't collide. You promised I'd be safe. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, where are you? Cedars, resident lounge, 4th floor. Don't move, I'm 5 minutes away. He made it in 3, bringing Sungmin and 2 other men. The moment Ji-hoon saw Imani, his expression went dark with fury. You're her sister. Imani, this is Park Ji-hoon. His mother is my patient. Kendra stepped between them protectively. Ji-hoon, what the hell is going on? Rivals. They've been pushing back against my territory expansion, trying to force me into a war. Ji-hoon's jaw was tight. I've been handling it quietly, but apparently they've decided to escalate. By threatening your mother and letting my sister witness it? Kendra's voice rose. Did you know they were watching me? Watching her? No. Ji-hoon looked at Imani. Can you describe them? Imani did, her voice steady despite her fear. Ji-hoon's expression grew darker with each detail. Kim's crew, they're trying to provoke me. Well, congratulations, I'm provoked. Kendra grabbed her bag. Come on, Imani, we're leaving. Kendra, wait. No. She spun on Ji-hoon. You said I'd be safe. You said nothing from your world would touch mine. My sister is 22 years old and terrified because of you. I know. Ji-hoon's voice was raw. I know, and I'm sorry, but leaving won't keep you safe now. If Kim's people know about your sister, they know about you. You need protection. I need distance from you. That won't work anymore. Ji-hoon stepped closer, his eyes pleading. Kendra, please. Let me fix this. Let me protect you both until this is handled. How? By what? Assigning us bodyguards? By dragging us deeper into your world? Kendra felt tears burning. I trusted you. And you still can. I will end this. I swear to you. But I need time. 3 days. Give me 3 days to eliminate the threat, and then you'll never have to see me again if that's what you want. Imani touched Kendra's arm. Maybe we should listen to him. You don't know what you're saying. I know I'm scared. Imani's voice was small. And I know that man smiled at me like he planned to see me again. If this Ji-hoon person can stop that, maybe we should let him. Kendra wanted to refuse, wanted to grab her sister and run, disappear into a life where dangerous men with beautiful eyes didn't complicate everything. But Imani was right. Running wouldn't solve this. 3 days, she said finally. But we stay at my apartment, not some safe house. And you tell me everything. No more secrets. No more protecting me from the truth. Deal. Ji-hoon nodded to Sungmin, who immediately pulled out his phone. You'll have security watching your building 24/7. Don't go anywhere alone. Both of you. This is insane, Kendra muttered. This is my life, Ji-hoon corrected quietly, and I'm so sorry it's touching yours. The apology in his eyes looked genuine. That was what scared her most. If you're hooked on this story, hit that like button. It really helps. The first day, Kendra and Imani stayed home, curtains drawn, nerves frayed. Ji-hoon called every few hours with updates she didn't fully understand, meetings with other organizations, negotiations, carefully worded threats that he didn't elaborate on. You don't need to know the details, he said when she pressed. Just trust that I'm handling it. That's not how trust works. In my world, it is. They fought about it. Their first real fight. Voices rising until Imani fled to the bedroom with headphones. When the silence stretched too long, Ji-hoon said quietly, I'm trying to protect you. I don't want protection. I want honesty. The honest truth? Kim's crew is planning something, and I don't know what yet. I have people working on it. But until I do, you're vulnerable. That's the truth. Happy? Kendra wasn't happy. She was terrified. The second day, Mrs. Park was discharged. Kendra wasn't her attending anymore, which meant dinner with Ji-hoon was no longer a professional conflict. Not that it mattered, given everything else. My mother wants to meet your sister, Ji-hoon said when he called that evening. Absolutely not. Kendra, she knows something's wrong. She's worried about you. She doesn't even know me. Yes, she does. I told her about you. About us. He paused. She likes you. Says you have a kind soul. She said that based on what exactly? Based on how you cared for her. Based on how I can't stop talking about you. His voice softened. My mother has good instincts about people. Trust her. Kendra wanted to stay angry, but it was hard when he sounded so sincere. How is she doing? Better every day. Physical therapy is helping. She's already bossing everyone around, so I know she's feeling more like herself. He chuckled. She says if I mess things up with you, she'll disown me. Smart woman. The smartest. Ji-hoon's tone shifted. I have a lead on Kim's plans. Tomorrow, this ends. I promise. Be careful. Always. A pause. Kendra? Yeah? Thank you for trusting me. I know it's not easy. It wasn't. But somehow, impossibly, she did. The third day started quietly. Too quietly. Kendra made breakfast while Imani studied, both of them pretending everything was normal. At noon, Ji-hoon texted, Meeting with Kim at 3. Should have resolution after. At 2:45, Imani left for the bathroom. She didn't come back. Kendra found the bathroom window open, a black cloth on the floor that smelled chemical and wrong. Her sister's phone was on the sink, screen, dark. "No," Kendra whispered. "No, no, no." She called Ji-hoon with shaking hands. He answered on the first ring. "Kendra, they took her. They took Imani." The line went dead silent. Then, "I'm coming. Don't leave the apartment." "Like hell, they have my sister. And I will get her back." His voice was steel. "Kendra, listen to me. This is a trap. They want me to react emotionally, make a mistake. I need you to stay safe while I handle this." "She's my sister. I'm not sitting here doing nothing." "Then you'll get her killed." Ji-hoon's composure cracked. "Please, Kendra, trust me one more time. Let me do what I'm good at." "Which is what exactly?" "Violence?" "Yes." No hesitation. "I will burn down Kim's entire operation to get your sister back, but I need to do it smart, not fast. Give me 2 hours." Kendra closed her eyes, every instinct screaming to act, to move, to do something. But she'd seen Ji-hoon's world now, understood its brutal calculus. He was right. She'd only make things worse. 2 hours, she whispered. "Then I'm calling the police." "You won't need to." He hung up, and Kendra sank to the floor, holding her sister's phone, praying to a god she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. 1 hour and 47 minutes later, her door burst open. Kendra grabbed a knife from the kitchen, ready to fight, but it was Ji-hoon. He was bleeding from a cut above his eye, his knuckles raw, his suit torn. Behind him, Sung-min carried Imani, who was unconscious but breathing. "Imani." Kendra dropped the knife, rushing to her sister. "What did they do to her?" "Drugged her, but she's okay. No serious injuries." Ji-hoon's voice was hoarse. "I got her out." Kendra laid Imani on the couch, checking her vitals with shaking hands. Pulse strong, pupils responsive, breathing steady. She'd wake up soon, probably with a headache but otherwise fine. "What did you do?" Kendra asked, not sure she wanted the answer. Ji-hoon looked at her with eyes that had seen too much, done too much. "What I had to." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I can give you." He moved to the sink, washing blood off his hands. His blood or someone else's, Kendra couldn't tell. "Kim won't bother you again. Neither will anyone else in this city. I made sure of it." Kendra's stomach turned. She'd known intellectually what Ji-hoon was capable of, but seeing the evidence, the blood, the torn clothes, the cold finality in his voice, made it real in a way dinner conversations hadn't. "Did you kill him?" Ji-hoon's hands stilled under the water. "Would it change how you feel about me if I said yes?" "I don't know." Kendra's voice broke. "I don't know what I feel anymore." "Then let me make it easy for you." Ji-hoon dried his hands, turned to face her. "Kim is alive. Barely. His operation is destroyed, his men scattered. He'll spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder, knowing that if he ever comes near you or your sister again, I'll finish what I started." His jaw clenched. "I didn't kill him because I knew you wouldn't forgive me if I did. But Kendra, I wanted to. For taking your sister, for scaring you, for making you look at me the way you're looking at me right now, like I'm a monster." "You're not a monster." "Yes, I am." Ji-hoon's voice was raw. "I've always been one. I just forgot for a while when I was with you. You made me feel human, but tonight reminded me what I really am." Imani stirred on the couch, moaning softly. Kendra went to her immediately, checking her pupils again, murmuring reassurance. Imani's eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. "Kendra? I'm here, baby. You're safe. Everything's okay." "There were men. They grabbed me." Imani's voice was slurred from the drugs. "I couldn't fight them." "I know. But you're home now. You're safe." Kendra stroked her sister's hair, fighting back tears. "Just rest." Imani's eyes found Ji-hoon standing in the shadows. You came for me. Of course I did. Ji-hoon's expression softened. You're important to someone I care about. That makes you important to me. Thank you, Imani whispered. Then her eyes closed again, exhaustion pulling her under. Kendra waited until her sister's breathing evened out before she stood, facing Ji-hoon. You should go. I know. He didn't move. Kendra, please don't. She wrapped her arms around herself. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't make promises you can't keep. Just go. Is this it then? We're done? The question hung in the air between them. Kendra thought about the past 3 weeks. The coffee he'd brought her, the dinners, the way he looked at his mother with such tenderness, the vulnerability he'd shown her. She thought about how he'd dropped everything to save Imani, how he'd kept his promise even though it had cost him. She thought about the blood on his hands. I don't know, she said honestly. I need time to think. Time to process everything that happened. Time to make sure Imani recovers without being terrified every time someone walks past our door. How much time? I don't know that either. Kendra met his eyes. Maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe forever. Ji-hoon flinched like she'd struck him. I understand. Do you? Because I don't. Kendra's voice rose. I don't understand how I can be attracted to someone who solves problems with violence. I don't understand how I can care about someone whose world is so different from mine. I don't understand how my heart can want something my brain knows is dangerous. You think I understand it any better? Ji-hoon stepped closer, his intensity filling the space between them. I've spent my entire adult life building walls, keeping people at arm's length, never letting anyone matter enough to become a weakness. And then you walked into my life and destroyed every defense I had. You made me want things I can't have. You made me hope for a future I don't deserve. Ji-hoon, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking you to accept my world or change yours. I'm just asking you not to decide right now, when you're scared and angry and your sister is drugged on your couch. His voice dropped to a whisper. Give yourself the time you need. But please don't walk away forever without at least considering that maybe we could figure out how to make this work. Kendra wanted to say no, wanted to end this cleanly, protect herself and Imani from any future danger. But she couldn't force the words out. Okay, she said finally. I'll think about it. But Ji-hoon, if I decide this is too much, if I decide I can't do this, you have to respect that. No grand gestures, no showing up at my hospital, no trying to change my mind. You have to let me go. I will. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, these past 3 weeks were the best of my life. Whatever you decide, I'll always be grateful for that. He left before she could respond, the door clicking softly behind him. Kendra stood in the silence, listening to her sister's breathing, feeling like her heart was breaking and healing simultaneously. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of Kendra's life. Imani recovered physically but had nightmares for days. Kendra threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts, avoiding the floor where Mrs. Park had been treated. Tasha didn't say, I told you so, which somehow made it worse. Ji-hoon kept his promise. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. The only sign he existed was the security detail that remained outside her building. Different men, subtle but present, protecting her even after she'd pushed him away. On day 15, Mrs. Park showed up at the hospital. She was walking with barely a limp, her speech almost completely recovered. She found Kendra in the cafeteria during her lunch break. Dr. Ross, may I sit? Kendra couldn't refuse. Mrs. Park, you look wonderful. How are you feeling? Strong, thanks to you. Mrs. Park settled into the chair, with a grace that suggested she'd never been sick. My son, He is miserable without you. Kendra's throat tightened. Mrs. Park, I appreciate you coming, but please, let me speak. The older woman's eyes were kind but firm. I know what my son is. I know the life he leads, the choices he has made. When his father died, I begged him to leave that world. But he said someone had to protect what we built, keep our people safe. He sacrificed normal life for duty. That was his choice. Yes, but you are also his choice. First time in his life, he chooses something for himself, not for family, not for business. He chooses you. Mrs. Park reached across the table, taking Kendra's hand. I am not asking you to accept everything about him. I am asking if you can see the man behind the monster, the son who held my hand when I was scared, the boy who cried at his father's funeral, the human underneath. I do see him, Kendra whispered. That's what makes this so hard. Love is always hard, but it is worth it. Mrs. Park squeezed her hand. My son will respect whatever you decide, but I hope you decide to give him a chance. He will protect you with his life. He will honor you. He will love you like you are the only thing that matters, because to him, you are. She stood, bowed slightly, and left before Kendra could respond. That night, Kendra couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Ji-hoon's eyes when she'd asked him to leave. The way he'd looked at his mother. The blood on his hands that he'd washed away to spare her the sight. The promise he'd kept even when it cost him. At 2 a.m., she called him. He answered before the second ring. Kendra. Just her name, rough with sleep, and hope, and fear. I've been thinking, she said. And? And I don't know if this can work. I don't know if we can bridge the gap between our worlds. I don't know if I'm strong enough to love someone whose life is so dangerous. She took a breath. But I want to try. Silence. Then, say that again. I want to try. With you. With us. Kendra's voice strengthened. But I need conditions. Real ones. No more secrets about threats to my safety. No more handling things without telling me. If we're doing this, we're partners. You don't get to protect me by keeping me in the dark. Agreed. Ji-hoon's voice was thick with emotion. Anything else? Imani is off limits. Completely. She doesn't get involved in your world in any way. Ever. Done. And you have to promise me you're trying to go legitimate. I know it won't happen overnight, but I need to know you're working toward a life that doesn't end with you in prison or dead. I've already started. I have lawyers restructuring everything, legitimate businesses to transition into. It'll take time, but Kendra, I swear to you, I'm getting out. His voice dropped. For you. For us. For the future I want with you. Tears spilled down Kendra's cheeks. When can I see you? I'm outside your building. What? I've been here, every night since you asked me to leave. Sungmin keeps telling me I'm pathetic, but I couldn't stay away. I needed to be close, even if you didn't know it. Kendra laughed through her tears. You're insane. About you? Absolutely. She could hear the smile in his voice. Can I come up? Yes. 5 minutes later, he was at her door. Kendra opened it to find him looking worse than she'd ever seen. Shadows under his eyes, stubble on his jaw, exhaustion in every line of his body. But when he saw her, his face transformed with such joy that her heart cracked open. Hi, she said stupidly. Hi. He stayed in the doorway, not presuming entry. I missed you. I missed you too. Kendra stepped back. Come in. He crossed the threshold carefully, like he was entering sacred space. In the soft lamplight of her living room, they stood facing each other, all the words they'd said and left unsaid hanging between them. I'm scared, Kendra admitted. Me too. Ji-hoon's honesty disarmed her. I've never had this much to lose before. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll fight for us. When things get hard, when your world crashes into mine, when I'm terrified and you're dangerous. Promise me you won't give up. I promise. He closed the distance between them, cupping her face with hands that had done terrible things but touched her like she was precious. I will fight for us every single day. I will be worthy of you. I will build a life where you feel safe loving me. I already love you, Kendra whispered. That's the terrifying part. I love you too. Ji-hoon kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the tip of her nose. I've loved you since you bossed me around in that ER and looked at me like I was just a man, not a monster. You're both, Kendra said, pulling back to look at him. And I need you to be okay with me loving all of you, the good parts and the complicated ones. No more trying to protect me from who you are. Deal. He kissed her then, properly, and Kendra felt every wall she'd built crumble. His kiss was gentle and desperate, reverent and hungry, everything she'd imagined and more. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon rested his forehead against hers. So what happens now? Now? Kendra smiled. Now you take me to breakfast when my shift ends tomorrow. You meet Imani properly, when she's not drugged. You let me meet your mother for real, not as her doctor. We take this slow, and figure it out as we go. Slow, Ji-hoon repeated, like testing the word. I can do slow. Can you? Kendra raised an eyebrow. Because everything I've seen suggests you're used to getting what you want immediately. With you, I'll learn patience. He tucked a curl behind her ear. You're worth waiting for. They spent the rest of the night on her couch, wrapped in each other, talking about everything and nothing. Ji-hoon told her about his father, about inheriting an empire at 29, about the choices he'd made and the ones he regretted. Kendra told him about her mother's death, about promising herself she'd save everyone she could, about the weight of being the strong one for Imani. As dawn broke through her windows, painting them both in shades of gold, Kendra realized something fundamental had shifted. She'd spent 3 years playing it safe, building walls, protecting herself from pain. But love, real love, required vulnerability, required risk, required choosing someone even when they were complicated and dangerous and imperfect. Ji-hoon had chosen her. Now she was choosing him back. 6 months later, Kendra stood in the kitchen of Ji-hoon's penthouse, their penthouse now, though she'd only officially moved in 2 weeks ago, teaching Mrs. Park how to make her grandmother's sweet potato pie. Imani was in the living room, studying for her boards, completely comfortable in this space that had once seemed so foreign. No, like this, Mrs. Park demonstrated, her hands moving, with the confidence of full recovery. You must feel the dough. I am feeling it, Iyama, Kendra laughed, flour dusting her nose. I think it's feeling me back. Ji-hoon appeared in the doorway, fresh from a meeting with his lawyers. The legitimate business transition was progressing faster than expected. In 2 years, maybe less, he'd be completely clean. Some days, Kendra still couldn't believe it was real. Are you destroying my mother's recipe again? He asked, moving to wrap his arms around Kendra's waist from behind. Your girlfriend has no respect for tradition, Mrs. Park declared, but she was smiling. Fiancé, Ji-hoon corrected, pressing a kiss to Kendra's temple. She said yes last week, remember? Mrs. Park beamed. How could I forget? I have been telling everyone. My son is marrying the doctor who saved my life. Kendra leaned back into Ji-hoon's embrace, feeling the steady beat of his heart against her back. They'd had fights, complications, moments where his world had crashed into hers in frightening ways. But they'd also had this. Laughter in the kitchen, family dinners, Quiet mornings wrapped in each other, love that grew stronger with every challenge they faced. Happy? Ji-hoon murmured in her ear. Terrifyingly so, Kendra admitted. Good. He turned her to face him, oblivious to his mother's knowing smile. Because I plan to keep you terrifyingly happy for the rest of our lives. That's a big promise. I'm good at keeping promises, especially ones I make to you. It was true. In 6 months, he'd never broken a single promise. He'd protected her, respected her boundaries, included her in decisions, fought for them when things got hard. He'd become everything she'd hoped and more. I love you, Kendra said, pulling him down for a kiss that tasted like flour and happiness. I love you too, Ji-hoon whispered against her lips. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for being worth the risk. From the living room, Imani called out. If you two are done being disgustingly cute, I need help with this pharmacology question. Mrs. Park laughed, shooing them away. Go, I will fix this pie myself. You young people know nothing about baking. As Kendra and Ji-hoon walked toward the living room, his hand warm in hers, she thought about that night in the ER when a desperate son had burst through the doors with his dying mother. How terrified she'd been. How certain she was making a mistake by agreeing to dinner. She'd been wrong. Sometimes the scariest choices led to the most beautiful destinations. Sometimes the most dangerous men had the gentlest hearts. Sometimes love required risk, faith, and choosing someone even when it didn't make sense. And sometimes, just sometimes, the broken pieces fit together in ways that made both people whole. 3 years later, Dr. Kendra Park stood in the same hospital where she'd met her husband, but everything had changed. She was an attending now, running her own department. Ji-hoon's businesses were completely legitimate. Real estate, restaurants, import-export that actually meant what it said. His past occasionally cast shadows, but they'd learned to live in the light. Mrs. Park had fully recovered, dividing her time between spoiling her grandson, 6-month-old James, named after Kendra's father, and teaching Korean cooking classes at the community center. Imani had graduated medical school and was starting her residency in pediatrics, engaged to a kind man who made her laugh. And Kendra, holding her son while her husband wrapped his arms around them both, felt a peace she'd never known was possible. Thank you, Ji-hoon whispered, kissing the top of her head. For what? For seeing me, for loving me, for giving me a family and a future I never thought I deserved. Kendra looked up at him, at the man who'd once been a dangerous stranger and was now her whole world. You deserve everything good, Ji-hoon, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you believe it. He kissed her then, soft and sweet, while their son slept peacefully between them. And in that moment, Kendra knew with absolute certainty that she'd made the right choice. Love was always a risk, but with the right person, it was a risk worth taking. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done in Kendra's position? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this one, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.